Go.
Tonight's reading is from the book of Genesis, chapter 2, beginning with verse 18. The Lord said, "It is not good that man should be alone. I will make him a helper as his partner." So out of the ground the Lord God formed every animal of the field and every bird of the air, and brought them to man to see what he would call them. And whatever the man called every living creature, that was its name. Well, the man gave names to all the cattle, and to all the birds of the air, and to every animal of the field. But for the man there was not found a helper as his partner. So the Lord God caused a deep sleep to fall upon the man, and he slept. Then he took one of his ribs and closed up its place with flesh. And the rib that the Lord God had taken from the man that he had made into a woman, and he brought her to the man. Then the man said, "This at last is bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. This one shall be called woman, for out of man this one was taken. Therefore a man leaves his mother and his father and clings to his wife, and becomes one flesh." Skip ahead, I'm going to read a couple lines of the gospel lesson from Mark chapter 10. People were bringing little children to Jesus in order that he might touch them. And the disciples spoke sternly to them. But when Jesus saw this, he was indignant, and he said to them, "Let the little children come to me, do not stop them. For it is such as these that the kingdom of God belongs. Truly I tell you, whoever does not receive the kingdom of God as a little child will never enter it." Then Jesus took them up in his arms and laid his hands upon them and blessed them. This is the gospel of our Lord.
Thanks be to God.
Before I begin, I want to redirect your attention to the hymn of the day, or to the prayer of the day. And I want you to think about this. Sovereign God, you have created us to live in loving community with one another. Form us for life, that it is faithful and steadfast, and teach us to trust like little children, that we may reflect the image of your Son, Jesus Christ, our Savior and Lord. Amen. All right, now, before I begin tonight's sermon, right, this is not a political lecture. You got that? I don't talk about politics. What do? I talk about the Bible. And it's up to you to figure out how to apply it to your life. Go out and vote if you want. Go out and don't vote if you don't want. I don't care. So I've been thinking about what's been going on in this country for the last couple of weeks. Last week I said I'm not going to talk about it. And I've still been thinking about it. It's been kind of eating me away. So I thought I'm going to talk about it tonight. It's Saturday night and anything goes. So let's go. Now, if you've been watching the news the last couple of weeks, we see some very disturbing things going on. And what is it? It's a culture war that's going on before our eyes, right? And what is it? Our country is fighting a culture war. People that have biblical ideas. I'm talking about people of faith. It could be Jewish, Islamic, and Christian people. We hold certain values, and basically we believe, three monotheistic religions, that God gave us the law. Our rights come from God. And confronting it, we have an opposite group of people that have a different worldview, and they are definitely hostile to our views. Now, this culture war has permeated our culture for years. It's not something that popped up 2 weeks ago. This is something that's been going on for a long time. Remember, we're all about the same age. What was that song from 1970 by Steve Stills? Yes, I remember. Love the one you're with. Love the one you're with. What is that all about? Well, it doesn't matter. Yeah. The boundaries of marriage doesn't matter. Just do whatever you want. Love the one you happen to be with at the time. What's going on here? Men are dogs. Men are promiscuous. So women's liberation means that women should be able to act like men and do the same thing without any consequences. That's one of their teachings. Another one, remember the movie Animal House from 1978? I do, right? Well, this is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to be drunk and stupid and have a great time, and we idealize this kind of behavior, And another one, Fast Times at Ridgemont High. This is 1982. 1982, that's an interesting date, isn't it? It's the same thing. All these Hollywood movies going back 30, 40, 50 years all teach these same values. And what is the value? The value is this. The other person is an object for your use and disposal. You got that? Do whatever you want to the other person. Who cares? It's all about me. How do you spell sin? S-I-N. As long as I'm happy, as long as I'm satisfied, that's really all that really matters. Well, is that an alien view? This is not something that the Bible knows anything about. We'll talk about that in a couple of minutes. So the idea of object-subject. Then, out of the 1960s, what was one of the great bumper stickers? Don't trust anyone over 30. Remember that one? Don't trust anybody over 30? Right? Well, now that I'm double 30 and then some, I look back at this, what an idiotic thing to teach young people. Right? There's t-shirts, no respect. Right? Right? No fear. It means fear of the Lord is the beginning of understanding. So they don't fear God or man. Right? Try being a teacher. Right? Try being a teacher in a junior high or a high school. The kids have no fear. They know you can't touch me, you can't do this. Even parents have no authority in their own home. I'll call the social worker. Right? So no fear. Well, and marriage itself is under a bitter and brutal attack. Right? Marriage is regarded as an evil institution. It's an institution that oppresses marriage. Heterosexual marriage it's evil, evil, evil. However, gay marriage is considered to be a good and positive thing. That's a hallmark of liberation. So you have this weird contradiction where the only kind of marriage that's good is gay and lesbian marriage. Evil marriage is heterosexual marriage. It oppresses women. Well, what is this? This is part of the sexual revolution that started, the 1920s when they came back from World War I, right? The idea that Victorian values and morals are evil and they're oppressive. They cause psychological problems, Freud. Okay? So the idea is you have to get rid of all your inhibitions and do whatever you want. Free love. Love the one you're with. Do whatever you want. That's true liberation. And then, of course, the 20s were bad enough, but the 60s, they put this on steroids. And what do we have? We're suffering from the wreckage of the 1960s morals and ethics. Right? Some of us have been divorced a couple of times even, and this is a consequence of this morals and ethics of the 1960s. Right? Marriage is, all right, so, and what is this? All right? We don't have time to do this. It's a 3-hour lecture. It's called Cultural Marxism. Go home and Google it. Read up about Herbert Marcuse. Right? And he believes, he's teaching the kids of the 60s, you're repressed. Go do whatever you want. Why? Cultural Marxists despise the family unit. Families undermine their program. They want women to spawn children and then turn the kid over to the state to be raised in a commune. Why? Because parents are evil, they're corruptors of the children because we teach them things like, God, we believe in God. We believe in the Holy Trinity. We believe in Jesus. So that's considered subversive activity. They don't like that. They want to be the one that teaches the kid morals and values, right? Free love. The free love idea is related to the idea of free college, right? When someone stands up and says, we should have free college, you put your hand up and you go, excuse me, who's going to pay for it? Remember, there's no such thing as a free lunch in life. There's always a price that you or somebody has to pay. Free love has a payment. You have to pay somebody for that. Free college, somebody has to pay for it, right? And usually, it's the little ones that pay. This is why I read the gospel lesson today where Jesus said, bring the little children to me. The little ones are the ones that have to pay the price for this wreckage. You want to hear something that'll make you throw up? Right? Right now, 72% of all African American children are born to a single mother. But what does that mean? It means there's not a father around to do what? Well, make child support payments at a minimum. And then you wonder, well, why are there so many social problems going on? Well, without a father around, the teenage boys run around and do whatever they want. Do you know that something like a huge percent, something like 80% of all street crime is caused by single males 15 to 25 years old. And usually, if you talk to these boys, right, because they're boys, they dropped out of high school because I don't want a teacher telling me what to do, and there's no father in the family. The mother, usually the grandmother, ends up raising these boys, and they run wild in the streets. So in other words, we have chaos and anarchy going on, right? Absent fathers. This is a huge problem in our society, huge problem. And the state cannot compensate or be the father in the family. You got this? Just because you get a check in the mail doesn't mean that's not what a father is. A father is someone who mans up and participates in the family life, right? So what is this? What does the Bible say about all this stuff? Here's what it says. I like this quote, Hosea 8:7. Indeed, they sowed the wind and they reaped the whirlwind. Well, what does that mean? That means actions have consequences. Cause and effect, which is another thing that the opposition rejects. They don't believe in cause and effect. Well, if things are screwed up, chances are there's some dysfunctional stuff going on 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 or 30 or 40 years ago. You reap what you sow. That's a brutal thing. One of the teachings of the Bible is cause and effect. There are consequences for things that you do and for things that you don't do. What does the Lutheran Church say about marriage anyway? Sometime when you have a boring sermon, come here, open up the green LBW and read the marriage service, right? Why? You have to be educated about what marriage is. It's an institution that we're trying to defend and protect and talk up, right? I know a lot of husbands, right? Hang around the moose lodge and stuff. What do they say? Oh, have to go home to the ball and chain. You know, they talk down the institution of marriage. Well, talk up the institution of marriage, right? Marriage is a good thing. Well, why is that? Well, first of all, Genesis 2:18, I read it tonight. Marriage is instituted by God. Something instituted by God is something that we should celebrate and uphold and be in favor of, not to say it's an institution of oppression that we need to abolish. Well, why did God institute this? Well, marriage is the building block of society. Remember, if it's good and positive and uplifting, it's from God. If it leads to destruction and chaos, it's from Satan. Got that? So, an intact family, a married family with children benefits all. You got that? Benefits all. It doesn't benefit men at the expense of women. Women are not being oppressed by being married. And above all, what is marriage all about? Marriage isn't about your personal happiness. You probably are shocked that I hate to say that, right? What is it about? It's to provide an institution and a stable environment to raise children. What does Jesus say in the gospel lesson? Bring the little children to me. He doesn't say, here, you take care of the little snots. We'll put them in a state-run institution and let the bureaucrats raise the children and then wonder why they need psychiatric treatment. You see? So marriage benefits all, and because God is good and holy and pure, when He gives you something, take it, right? Take it and honor it and talk it up. So marriage is instituted by God, right? And why would God do this? Because God is the God of good order, not chaos. Good order? What does good order mean? Good order means harmony and blessing. It means we're not fighting in the streets trying to kill each other. Good order means peace. Peace is a God thing, okay? And God wants good order. God wants us to live under the rule of law. Do you want to live in a country that has no law? Yeah, that's called Somalia. Go move there. For 25 years, they have no government in Somalia. They have warlords running around shooting each other all the time. You want to live in a place that's run by the Crips and the Bloods? No gangs? You know, the cartels from Mexico? Turn the whole country over to them. Let them run it. Right? So, where do you start? I don't know where to start in the Bible. Here you go. Read Exodus chapter 20, 1 through 17, the 10 Commandments. That's a really good place to start. It's the building block of our society. You like the Constitution? Read the Constitution. The U.S. Constitution is based on this tradition. It's rooted in Moses received the law from God. God gave the Torah. God gave the law, the 10 Commandments. That's where you start. Well, are there any things in the Ten Commandments that might be useful? Yeah, like no other gods before me. We have one God. Notice, the state is not God. God is God. What else? God tells us things like, thou shalt not bear false witness. Truth-telling is essential to have a good order in society. Honor your mother and father. What does that mean? It means you respect people. Right? We'll come back to that in a couple of minutes. So read the Ten Commandments. The next one. What is the origin of human rights? Well, Genesis 1:26. You are created in the image and likeness of God. So the origin of human rights is that another person, is created in the image and likeness of God. So we don't abuse other people. We love other people. We take care of other people because that's like a little mini God person walking around there. Created in the image and likeness of God. Human rights are based in the idea that human beings are different than the rest of the creatures on earth. We have a special dignity and we should respect one another. Right? And above all, what does Jesus say? What's the whole law? Love God and love your neighbor. Love God, love your neighbor. You are to what? Love one another as I have loved you. You got that? So you're supposed to love your neighbors. Love one another. Love begins between husband and wife. It's in the family unit, and it should radiate out to your church, your community, your town, the country that you happen to be living in. Love one another, right? Try saying it, I love you, and then complete your sentence. You see that? It sort of takes the wind out of your profound political insight, doesn't it? Okay? How about this one? How about women? What are women supposed to do? Titus chapter 2, verses 4 and 5, this is Paul writing to Titus, he says that older women have a job. Older women are to teach younger women to love their husbands and how to raise their families. In other words, what do? We don't have older women teaching the younger women. We have the younger women teaching the younger women, to the older women, how to dress, what to do, what to say. You know, remember that Parkland shooting that happened in Florida? It's a horrible thing. So what happened? One of the survivors is making the rounds now, giving talks about, he's an expert on the Second Amendment and gun control now. He's a 17-year-old dopey kid, right? I'm glad he survived the shooting. Go to college and get an education, and then you can come and lecture me about politics. And we venerate youth in our culture, and I like young people too. But I'm not going to change my worldview because some 17-year-old kid who doesn't have any life experience is ranting and raving about something or other, a tradition that we've had that goes back 500 or 1,000 years, right? So we venerate youth, right? The way we dress, what we do, the styles, the fashions. Have you gone to the movies lately? The answer is no. People our age tend not to go to the movies. Why is that? Because they're about 15-year-olds falling in love or something. What do I care about dopey 15-year-olds? Literally, there's nothing at the movie theater that I'm interested in. That's why I watch European movies. They tend to be about adults, right? BBC movies are about adult. American movies are hung up on 15-year-olds, right? So we have this thing where we put youth on a pedestal, and we have old people have nothing to say. Older people. Let's talk about justice a little bit, right? Where does justice come from? Justice is what is just, what is right, what is righteous. If you want to know about righteousness and justice, that's why you want to read the Bible. Remember, God gave us the law not to bind us or ruin our life, but to give us the freedom and the opportunity. Rights and responsibilities go together. You got that? Okay, so what about justice? Well, if you have a problem, I can't stand the political system. I don't like the governor. I don't like the president. What do? Well, let me see. You stage a riot. You make bombs. You send ricin through the mail to the politicians or something. You form a militia unit and start attacking people. Is that what you do? No. Luther, in his writings, tells you what to do. You have a grievance. You have a complaint. You're a peasant. You're a German peasant. This 500 years ago. What do? You go to the prince with your grievance. Why? Because the authorities, this is Romans 13, chapter 13, verse 1. God put the authorities in place as a blessing to you. All authority is ordained by God. So you have a complaint, you have a problem, we have the right to petition our government. We live in a system, it's called a republic, a constitutional republic. What does that mean? We have 3 branches of government, we have a constitution, we have a court system, right? You have a problem? You can remove those politicians every 2, 4, and 6 years. And what do you do in between the election? I don't like the outcome of the last election. Okay, we have the First Amendment. What is that? We have the right to free speech. What does free speech mean? Free speech means that I can go up to a senator, run him down in the hall, and yell in his face this far away from his nose. Is that free speech? No, free speech is not a monologue, it's a dialogue. It's a dialogue. And we're not going to have a country. We're not going to have a country if you have people shouting at each other. You know, remember, you have one mouth and 2 ears. We need to dialogue and debate and discuss ideas. That's what mature people do. Infants scream and yell until they get their way. You see that? Really an important thing. So we have a mechanism for that, right? Take your grievances to the proper authorities, right? And how about our legal system? Do we have a legal system? Yeah. You know what? It's a gift from God. Our Constitution, Article 8, Section 1, talks about the 3 legitimate functions of the state. Courts, police, military. A court system, you want to have a court system. So if you're a victim of some crime or you've been defrauded or something, you go through the proper channels and you use due process. And one of the great traditions that we have is called innocent until proven guilty. Where does that come from? Oh, they made it up a couple weeks ago. No, it goes back to the Justinian Code. That's like around 500 AD. So that's like 1,500 years ago in the Western tradition. It's even rooted in Roman law, in the Roman Empire, right? What's the opposite? Guilty until proven innocent. So you have to go into court, you already assumed innocent or guilty, and you have to talk your way out of it. We don't have that. In our system, it's innocent until proven guilty. And you have to be proven guilty by what? You have to have a preponderance of evidence. Right? It isn't just 1 or 2 things. What does the Bible say about this, about courts? Deuteronomy chapter 19, verse 15 says, in order to convict somebody of a capital offense, rape and attempted murder is a capital offense, right? In the Bible, right? Well, you have to have 2 witnesses. Okay, 2 witnesses. And you bring the charge before the judges, right? The court system. Moses, delegates. He has judges that do this. And you have to have 2 witnesses. You have to present the evidence. It isn't just, you can't just go and say, I dreamed I had this, or somebody, I'm sure this happened a long time ago. Well, unless you have 2 witnesses, you don't have a case. Well, why is that? Because God is interested in justice, right? He's not interested in revenge or political points. We have a process for this stuff. And there's things like, not only do you have to have 2 witnesses, there's also a statute of limitations on things. You can't do it like, 50 years ago somebody bumped into me in junior high and I have a grievance about it. Anybody saw it? Nobody saw it. But it happened. I know it happened, right? So the 2 witnesses idea. And a court system, you're supposed to be objective. Objective, what does that mean? That means you don't get all carried away in your passions and emotions, right? You go in with a blank slate and you look at the evidence and you make a rational, calm decision. Why is passion a bad thing to go? Why? Mob justice is not a good thing. 100 years ago, the big problem in the American South is that we all know that black people are evil, and if there's a crime in town, the black person did it and let's lynch him. There were hundreds of lynchings in the American South because we all know that black people are criminals and we have to take the law into our own hands and execute them. Lynch law. You want to go back to lynch law? Right? So you have a court system where everybody sits down, shut up, you don't talk. We have a procedure that we go through. A jury renders a decision. We have a court system. We have good order. Why? Because God is the God of good order, not chaos. You got that? Good order is a gift from God, right? In a civil society, right? So let's talk civil society point here. In a civil society, we are to respect our elders. Okay, got this? I talked about this before, how they have, the t-shirt, no respect, no, don't trust anybody over 30. What does the Bible say? Leviticus 19:32. I love this. You shall stand up before the gray head and honor the face of the old man, and you shall fear your God. I am the Lord. So what does Leviticus say? When an old person walks into the room, you should stand up and revere the person. Do we do that? No. The old people have to stand up and give the chairs to the young people because they're tired, and the kids have to sit down. They sit on the couch. The old person stands up. You see that? But it's not just sitting on the couch. It's the general attitude of holding history and tradition, biblical values in contempt because we know better. We're the angry mob. We're disgruntled. We're allowed to vent. We're allowed to rage. We're allowed to get in your face and yell at you. It's disgusting. This is not biblical stuff that's going on here, right? And then this is the concept too of also honor your mother and father in the Ten Commandments. What does that mean? Honor your mother and father doesn't just mean your mother and father. It means all those in authority over you. Things like when the policeman comes by, you should say, thank you for what you do. Do we hold police in high regard? No. We hold them in contempt. There are certain communities where police are considered evil. Okay, good. Let's withdraw all police from Chicago and just let people go at it. You think that's a good idea? No, police are there to protect us. I don't have to carry a sidearm because the police protect my life, liberty, and property. They protect our home and they protect our community. The military is the same thing. Some of these people, they hold military in gross, deep contempt. Well, we talk about we should honor our veterans. Yeah, we should honor our veterans because they are laying their life on the line to protect us, to keep us free, right? Extremely important. And above all, what does Jesus say? How are you supposed to treat people? The golden rule. What is that? Do unto others as you would have others do unto you. Think about that. What does that mean? It means that you don't get in people's face. You don't yell at people. If you have a problem or you have an issue, you write a letter, you op-ed page, you can have a peaceful protest if you want, but you don't resort to intimidation and violence in order to get your point across. Well, what's going to happen? I know what's going to happen. Somebody is going to get their snoot full and there's going to be some mass shooting or some horrible thing that's going to happen. And why do they do that? Their tactic of getting in your face is designed by Saul Alinsky. It's to provoke you. You're supposed to punch them. You're supposed to attack them, and they have it on video so that they can post it on YouTube, and it shows how evil we are. We're the oppressors. That's what they're up to. So what's the lesson of this last couple of weeks? The lesson of the last couple of weeks is, maybe we need to get back to some basic values that made this country. The things like faith in God, belief in the family, talk up marriage, speak in favor of the police, of due process, of our Constitution. We live in a country that has been blessed for the last several hundred years. We live in a blessed country. People all over the world want to come here and be a part of this. And what are we trying to do? We have people on the inside that think this is an evil country and the Constitution is evil and God is horrible. Get rid of God. If we only get rid of God, if we only get rid of marriage, if we only get rid of... That's what they want. And what do? We sit there and watch this stuff and it's disgusting to watch. And shame on us, right? Shame on us. And if we don't stand up and say something and do something, it's going to be gone. They'll take it away and they'll be running the place. You want to live by their rules? And what is their vision? Their dream would be to tax churches. To get rid of all churches. Because churches are evil because we corrupt people's minds. We point people back to God in the Bible. You can't have that. You have to point to the sociology professor. The Marxist philosopher is what you want to model your life after. So think about these things. Our Christian faith is more than just something interesting to do on a Saturday night or a Sunday morning. It should inform your worldview. Your entire life should be filled with the teachings of the Bible. And what's the bottom line? Jesus says, by their fruits ye shall know them. You got that? Look at their lives. Look at your life. My life is blessed because I'm a Christian. Our nation has been blessed because we're a Christian country. These people that are agitating and causing trouble, these are like messed up people. I don't want to model my life after them. Right? They're the ones that are abnormal. They're the ones that have problems. And it's a sad, sad thing that we give them a forum. I better end there. Amen.